I like the tuna here. It's one of Brian's quotes from the first Fast and Furious movies. And this is possibly the first casting of a realistic version of this car from that first movie. It's by a brand, I guess, Fast and Speed. And 164, unlicensed. And it's wrapped in this plastic, which I got some weird Chinese sticker on there. I know other brands have put this livery on other castings, but the real movie car has a Bomex body kit here. So they put the livery on, but it's not really the movie car, in my opinion. So that's why I never ended up buying any of those castings. Some fandom here at, hold on. Some fandom says this thing has somewhere around 550 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, and it's rolling on 19-inch racing kart wheels. And let's see, so it could go like 185 miles per hour or so, and then a quarter mile, which is what Dominic Toretto's interested in, is 12.2 seconds. And this car, the real movie car, sold at auction for $500,000 at one point in time. I'm not sure how old that auction was. Maybe it's been resold since then. Okay, well, this is the deluxe version of this thing. I always complain about buying things that I don't need, like this fancy acrylic base, which, truthfully, I don't need. You can buy this cheaper, which is the regular molded base, but it won't come with the figure. So that's why I bought this one, because I have respect for Paul Walker and just the movie franchise. I feel like I should have this exact movie car with the character in it. So I paid extra, but to me it's not garbage. Well, at least the figure isn't. The rest maybe I don't need, but that's how they get you to spend more money, it seems. Alright, so here's some comparisons to the photos of the supposedly the real movie car. And so yeah, you can see the funky shaping of this. But what's not obvious is the lack of these giant orange turn signals. That's not in there. So that's a big oversight. But the wheels, they are specific, I think. Right? The side view is really going to tell us what's going on. Yeah, so the top is off in this case. But yeah, these are racing kart wheels, and that's what's going on there with the perimeter bolts and everything. This one doesn't have orange calipers, though. So I'm not sure why they chose to put orange here. That's kind of weird. They should have just left it black or something. But the graphic itself, whatever that is some sort of Troy Lee design graphics. And then you got the angular end plates on the wing, and that similar sponsorship or whatever is there on the end plate of the wing as well. And then silver wing struts. So I gotta say, they did do a decent amount of research putting this model together, except for the orange turn signals are missing. Maybe they're in that bag. There's a roof in the bag there. Oh, this also has a license plate. Okay, it says Fast Furious. That's fine. I think it's better than having nothing. Okay, and then there's a little movie shot of the two rolling up and beating a Ferrari. You notice there's this big intercooler at an angle here, but I don't think that's on the model that we're going to review here. So if you want to put the roof on, is this taped down? It is taped down. Hold on. Gotta get a toothpick, plastic toothpick, so I don't scratch the space. Alright, we'll see how well this fits. I'm not going to display it with the roof on because it'll be hard to see the interior, right? But let's see if it has a good fitment. It does look like it's made of plastic, so I'm sure it'll be alright. So the roof has nice paint. Unfortunately, where the plastic was clipped off the molding runner, it wasn't sanded down or anything like that. It's just the way the mold flowed, I guess. Would have been ideal if that was clipped off the bottom side. And they didn't really even paint the underside either, but at least they got the edges. Oh, actually, the edge has black paint there for the window molding. Anyways, that's just a minor issue, that little extra plastic there. I don't even understand which is the front. Probably for the, what are those things? The sun visors probably rest in those little nooks and crannies there. Well, I gotta say, it's not a good fit. It's Those nooks and crannies aren't deep enough to really hold it in place. They should have maybe made the roof thicker in the middle, perhaps, to grab this thing. Anyways, if you want to display it with the roof on, you probably want to get some poster putty, or maybe school glue would be fine, but it's just going to block off the interior, so I'm going to just put this somewhere. This is an exceptionally odd bottom. This is all acrylic glue. This is some air pockets, but I don't understand why the screws are so offset like that and not in line with the model. So that's very strange. Maybe it has to do with the exhaust system. Oh, maybe that's it. The exhaust maybe runs down the center of the model, and they're trying to actually preserve the underbody of it, which makes me a little curious about what the underbody looks like, even though you generally don't care. So there's this black spacer with these pretty long screws here. Let's just take a look here. Well, yeah, so that's why. It's because the exhaust is crossing over. It is a separate piece, painted silver, of course. The treads look pretty modern. They look good enough. They are flatted out, though, so it's not going to roll very well. There's so much friction against this fender, it's not going to roll. This little silver thing moving is indicating that there are brakes. Actually, we already saw the brakes. They are there, so there's no actual credit or branding or any description of what this model is on the bottom of this thing. There's 2 screws if you want to take it apart and modify it further, do a custom or something. And that's it. Let me put it back together. So the metal plate here, we have around 1,000 pieces in this colorway. Maybe you find this video in 5 years. If this isn't out, you know, these are going to be long sold out in 5 years. But there's a possibility that another brand, not Fast and Speed, is going to have the exact same model. So that's something I've noticed in this hobby, right? They're not going to just throw away molds. So very often the brands just come and go, and then they re-release castings of very popular sellable items. Frankly, I don't even care about limited availability. I think a company should just sell as many things as they can to make money, right? To make profit. Anyhow, I'm putting in the vise because hopefully it'll work out better this time. Let me zoom in here. So yeah, the color of the caliper there, not correct, I think. And then the wheel, though, it does look nice. Nicely molded details there. The tread blocks, though, unnecessary, really, from the side view. If you look at the top of the tire, it looks like a truck tire, right? It's very strange. The actual gappiness, though, is with the wheel well seems okay to me. So this printing on here, I think, is all legitimate stuff. The still in here, yeah, those are parts that are used on this movie car. This actually looks like a photo etched piece of metal right there, so a separate piece is nice. This graphic here, it's, you know, tampo printed. Oh no, wait, it's a decal. It's just so smooth, but I think what's going on, possibly, at least here, it looks like it's under the. It looks like it's possibly clear coated. But here, this is what's not good about decals, right? The air behind that decal, it just doesn't look good, right? Having a big air pocket. Hopefully this is under clear coat, but you do see this edge, so I don't know if it's raised above it, but it looks quite smooth, so that's why I think it is under clear coat. But yeah, if you poke at that, it's going to crack, so that's not good. Looking at the sponsorship here, right? Bomex is the body kit company. Modern something, I don't know. Sparco's legitimate, that's a real company. Autometer gauges, right? So these are all real companies. Big air thing right there, so that's scary. Don't want to poke at that. That vent, what's going on? There's a little bit of black. It's just a round hole looking thing, though. Just a graphic. I don't know what the deal is with that, but boy, what is going on here? This is going in, but here there's an air gap, right? So it's a little scary. This is I would say, a poorly done door handle. It's so blobby looking. Most premium brands don't have blobby looking Hot Wheels door handles, so that's a little weird. It does have separate mirrors, though, with a reflective sticker, so that's good. And then the rear wheel and brake looks fine to me. And then we have this red graphic. Could possibly be the same as this decal. So air pockets around the fuel filler, unfortunately. Gretty parts were used there on the real movie car. So that's that side. Let me back out, twist around to the front, make sure that clamp is tight. Ah, I think I'm mistaken. I think there are orange turn signals in there. And these vents, they're just so far back that they're hard to see. So they are there. So I was a little harsh earlier, but they're just not obvious. And they actually aren't even sticking far back. I think what's going on is there's black paint for the vent, which is nice to have. But when you put a clear orange object on black, it looks dark, right? So if they really wanted to make that thing look orange, they would have actually painted the back side of the plastic silver, so it looked like a real reflector, right? So the part and the effort is there, it's just the paint effort wasn't there to make it look like a reflector. Now these little round fog lights though, I think they're silver, or yeah, I mean they look bright, right? So I don't know, something about the turn signals, yeah, they just look too dark. I didn't even notice them before. These lower vents here, possibly again separate metal pieces, I'm sure of it, because this color separation is so good. And there's even a little groove in that black piece, so that nice vent detail. There's a 12 here I've never noticed on the movie car. Granted, I've never seen the movie car in real life, so. But there's an intercooler. That's what that image I showed from the movie. It's not at the angle though that the movie car had, but it's fine. Seems okay to me. I don't know if this is like a Bomex logo or something, but it looks pretty cool. It's nice and crisply done. We do have the clear lens covers here, and then behind it the silver bucket or chromed plastic bucket. And then we actually have the lights themselves. I'm wondering if those have like plastic or resin. It's hard to see. The thing's just so shiny, but I think that's just the bucket itself, and they molded light bulbs into that. It looks good though. It looks like 3 lights behind a clear panel, so I like it. You'll notice the orange paint is metallic and it's very fine flake. I think it looks fantastic. Let's go to the side before we go to the top stuff. Hopefully there's no problems on this side. So that insert looks good. What's going on here? I didn't even notice this. There's a tiny black dot here, so that's some sort of vent. Without that dot, I would have probably never even seen that. So it's nice that they added that tiny detail. And it's kind of hard to see an orange reflector on an orange body, but it is there. The effort's there. Alright, so that looks all fine. I mean, looks as good as a decal can get, I guess. But yeah, just be mindful, air pockets. So really the only thing that's not so great on the side of this thing is the door handle. It just looks weak. It's just not sharp, right? It just looks like a molded on blob of clay or something. So we do have the side window here now. It's the clear plastic has some blackout printed on the outside, and then the casting itself has this black printing, which looks very glossy. Like it was just hit with some Armor All or something. The paint on this is really nice though. Look how good the reflection is on this body. Alright, so going back here, that looks fine. Little winglets, and then we have a really big obnoxious exhaust, and this looks like a piece of metal tubing. It is so sharply round on both edges. It's reflecting, and it's got a little depth to it, and it's so thin. I'm positive that's a piece of metal tubing, and it's maybe glued onto a silver painted exhaust system as we saw earlier. So that's a great exhaust. Yeah, all this text here looks very finely done, very crisp. Again, the license plate looks cool. Oh boy, do I even have a license plate from this franchise? So I lucked out. I bought a bunch of license plates from Alex Model, and you can find them on AliExpress. I'll show you the plate in a second, but this is the actual number plate from this movie car. There's just some school glue. It's going to clear, dry clear. I can't even speak English anymore. I skip a lot of words. Anyhow, Alex Model, I've reviewed these before. So there's some artist things, but they have Hollywood plates. So I have to assume, well, this is the Supra. Would have been nicer if they told you. But maybe like there's some other cars from Fast and Furious, right? So maybe I shouldn't use them. I've been putting them on other things. Yeah, so I know there was a Knight Rider one. There was also like the DeLorean Back to the Future one, I think. Anyways, you might want to look it up. It's USA Liberty license plates, or just look up the Lexan model license plates on AliExpress or wherever you buy your stuff. So that's a nice little detail. Honestly, for the extra cost of this, it would have been even cooler if this brand just had Lexan make them a bunch of license plates, and this would be an additional cost. You know, they could have charged even more money having that, or ideally the same money having that, right? Okay, so that's cool. That's cool. Cooler than it was. Oh, sorry. This is a suspension mount, so it kind of wobbles. The Toyota badge there, it's in black. I'm not sure if it is on the movie car. Yeah, I just looked at the images of the rear, and it is a black logo there. Unfortunately, there's supposed to be a Greddy right here and here, 2 Greddys, and they skipped that. I'm not sure why they would do that, because they had to do black for these 3. They could have probably just tampo printed 3 texts in the same process here, but they skipped the 2 Greddys there. Alright, well, the wing struts there, they're pretty thin, the silver of course, and there's literally air passing between the 2 levels of the wing, which is nice. It's kind of a high obnoxious wing, but that's the way it was in the movie. Okay, so the side plate of the wing, what is this, APR Performance or something? I've never heard of that company. It's got a little silver for the rivets or bolts holding that in place. So the rear taillights, you do have a clear lens cover, it looks like, and they printed on the silver backup lights on the outside, the orange turn signal as well, but then the red, oh, you know what that is? Maybe that's clear red. Yeah, so I think this might be clear red paint. So all the paint's on the outside surface, unfortunately. Would have been nice if they printed on the inside, but maybe that'd be harder to do. But the bucket behind there is painted silver, so there's some depth to the taillights. Just, I think they could have possibly made it look better if the paint was on the back side again. There's a third brake light there, painted silver, and it looks white on the rear photograph, so I guess that's as good as it gets. There is even a little text of turbo here. Now, when I look at the rear image, I don't actually see the Supra or the turbo there. Maybe they made a bunch of movie cars, so there's maybe a bunch of different photos, but this is the photo I'm referring to right here, where Dom does that craziness to the Charger. But yeah. So there's supposed to be that extra text, but not text up there, according to this photograph. And actually, this whole thing is black. The bucket is black. So that is a bit off as well. But pleasantly, it has a black license plate surround, so that works with the license plate just slapped on there. The bottom of the wing is silver, so that is on this model as well. And you see these little angled little plates there in the body kit. That is modeled as well. Okay, so where else are we going to go on this thing? Guess we go to the top. Alright, so you got 2 nitrous tanks in the back. And those are good defroster lines. I generally don't like defroster lines because they block the view, but in this case, the view is not blocked. I don't know if that's just molded into the plastic. That would be the logical thing to do. So it's nice. You can have defroster lines that don't ruin the model. I still say it's totally unnecessary, but yeah, it would have been cool if they printed NOS on those bottles, but not the case. And then those silver things I assume are like amplifiers for some sort of stereo. It does have a rear windshield wiper, and it's actually floating in air. Sorry, I gotta maybe back out the camera, zoom, so I can see more here. Problem is we can't see as much if it's not zoomed in. But see, it's a 3-dimensional raised wiper blade perpendicular to the back screen, so that's good. The top of the wing is silver as well. No sponsorship or anything there. Not sure if it comes with any. I closed out those other photographs, so. Alright, and then the top of the hood, the front hood, engine cover, whatever you want to call it, 4 inserted black mesh pieces there looking. Yeah, photo etched pieces. They look like mesh grills. Nice color separation, very good. And what about the front windscreen wipers? Yep, they're there. I think they're just molded into the window casting itself, unless I'm wrong, which I always am. They do seem perpendicular to the thing. I honestly cannot tell. I cannot tell if those are separate pieces or not, because they're black. now I do feel like they are possibly separate pieces, because it looks like there's air underneath the arm and above the bottom of the wiper blade. So I don't think it's part of the windscreen molding. I think they're literally 3 pieces of plastic there, the window and the 2 wipers. I could be mistaken though. It's very hard to see these things. It's pretty small. I'm looking at this through a mobile phone screen, so it's hard for me to even know what I'm looking at. The dashboard is just molded raw plastic, black, looks okay. Are there turn signal stocks? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think you got the stocks for the turn signals and wipers. And then you have the shifter, a little cone there for ease of molding. An e-brake sticking up, probably a separate piece. Looks like there's a gap there. Some cushioning details, looks okay. And then there's a rear view mirror, molded black. No silver paint inside of it though, but it is recessed. If you're daring, you could add some paint in there and then wipe off the edges with a little eyelash Q-tip. So then the sun visors there are painted black, so that's nice. Alright, and then you have a bunch of recesses for the middle console gauges. The dashboard even has a bunch of stuff. I'm pretty sure that's not a normal Supra dashboard on the passenger side, right? It looks like there's a screen. I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't looked at the images of Supra dashboards, but it looks like it could be a modified dashboard because this seat, the steering wheel, that's not a normal steering wheel, right? That's a racing steering wheel. It omits the airbag, assuming this had airbags. I don't know if this car would have had airbags in the early 90s or whatnot. Sadly, there's no gauges that I can see. Possibly they're just molded. Let's see. Yeah, alright, so molded recesses. Well, yeah, it would have been hard to put a decal onto such an irregular surface. If you took the model apart, you could maybe break the steering wheel loose, add silver paint into those recesses easily, but I'm not going to do it. Alright, so Paul Walker, what the heck is there? Brian? Brian, he looks pretty good. He's a Caucasian wearing a black t-shirt and he's got blonde hair, brownish hair, light brown hair. Pretty much how I remember the person from the movie. Blue jeans as well. Let's see, gas pedal sort of stuff. I can't tell. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. I was wondering if it even has lower legs, because I find that at this scale it's hard to actually have a full length leg with feet. I almost feel like the legs are cut off. See that far leg? I don't think there's a foot there. It's just you got cut off at the shins there. But that's probably the only way they could have gotten the character into this interior. So you got to make sacrifices when you shrink something 64 times. So that makes perfect sense to me. There's some sort of orange roll hoop under here. So that's a nice detail that's totally unexpected. Yeah, it's a different orange than the body of the car. There's a little diagonal over there as well. There's even well, it's still the same blue as the bottle, but it looks like, the rotary knob to turn on the nitrous. Door, alright, the door here has got an armrest. Yeah, a little speaker in the door. It's just hard to see with being all black. I think that's a pretty good interior. It's very nice, and it's, with the character in there, it definitely looks pretty realistic. This is really actually quite fantastic. Very impressive. Alright, looking at a few other models here. Here's a Tarmac Works Supra. I swapped over the wheels though. These are B&DS alloys, and I think I 3D printed my own brakes for this. This had a crazy Blitz logo. This is a real livery, but the body doesn't actually match the Blitz racing car, so that's why I got rid of the Blitz logo. And then here's an old Aoshima, I forget what this is called. Itasha is this whole thing in Japan where they slap on a bunch of cartoon characters onto their cars. Decals, not a fan. You can just see the crack, the dryness. Yeah, gonna crack. This one has a body kit on it of some sort. I forget what body kit this is. Redox, maybe. Redox? Not sure. Alright, so here's I think the same body kit, but this is by Ignition Model. This is one of their die casts. And it's quite nice. Very well done. It's just ignitions are kind of pricey models, so I don't collect too many of them, but it's got brakes, got nice tight details, very cool. Orange turn signals, pretty well visible there because they're actually painted on the outside surface. They're not clear, but intercooler looks good. Alright, for good measure, I'm going to just throw up a couple tuned vehicles, because I like tuned vehicles more than realistics, because they don't need to look realistic, and they can have quality problems because they're not supposed to look realistic. I modified this Hot Wheels a little bit, but it does have that graphic, and I 3D printed my own wheels for this thing. Okay. And then Choro-Q, they have their own little version here. These are the wheels it came with. I just pulled them off and put poster putty to make it all slammed. And it's got that graphic again. This one actually has the molding, like the Bomex molding. I may have added some paint in here, but yeah, so this is actually pretty good. Now these taillights actually are more realistic looking because they have the black surrounding the 4 dots, but no silver paint on the exhaust. Okay, so there's that. So let's get a low angle here. There's the last scene. You can look up reviews of these other things elsewhere if you want. I gotta say, this model is quite nice. The door handle details, maybe not so great. Just for comparison again, look at ignition. Those are much tighter door handles details, right? Even the little lock recess and stuff. Right? So it can be done. I just don't know why this brand didn't do it. That's probably the only real major issue. It's not even a major issue, is the issue. And then minor issue might have been adding some silver paint behind those 2 turn signals would have made them far more visible, because they are so extremely visible on the real car, right? But the separate wiper blade in the rear, the interior NOS bottles, the roll cage, obviously the character and the base that I paid extra for. And the rear wing is so delicate looking. Oh, the brake calipers aren't the correct color either. But it's definitely the best 1/64 scale Fast and Furious Supra. I'm not aware of a better one out there. What I do debate is whether or not someone's going to come and make this in resin. I don't know. It could definitely be improved upon this, but it's not going to be a vast improvement, I don't think. They did a pretty good job here. So just some minor color issues and stuff like that. Alright, well, if you like Fast and Furious, if you like the movie, and you like Paul Walker playing Brian, there's only 998 other ones of these out there in the world made by this brand. You might want to get on that. But again, maybe another brand will just come and release these later. And then I'm not sure what the quantity is of the models that come without the figure into some more basic box, not this crazy acrylic box case thing. So that could be another 1,000, maybe more. I'm not sure. So there's still a lot of pieces out there. But Fast and Furious, pretty popular movie franchise. I like them. Thanks. We'll see you. Bye.